Hi everyone, Kesenya here with the Moon Tarot Talk. So because some people are asking in the comments who the hell I am, I decided to start every video with a short introduction. So yeah, my name is Kesenya and I'm a tarot reader at Kesenya's Moor channel and Kesenya's Moor website, which she is calling Wellness Hub, which is a nice way to put the things. So yes, my name is Ksenia as well. We're simply namesakes, and Kesenia, the host of the channel, the owner, she's doing astrology and I do tarot readings. So in case you'd like a reading with me or something, you can go down and find the link in the description box. And yeah, and I'm doing every 2 weeks, I'm doing small talks about the forthcoming moon and sign by sign small tarot readings. So this is who I am. My background is in history and mythology, and so we talk here mythology and all things ancient and manuscripts and also and so on and so on. So the moon we are discussing today is the moon in Pisces, March 13, 2021. Yeah, so we are in the Pisces season. Pisces is our collective 12th house of release. The new year starts with the new moon in Aries. Aries season starts the new year. Aries season celebrates the spring equinox in northern hemisphere, the autumn equinox in the southern hemisphere. And so we are wrapping things up right now. Like, as you know, many cultures were pagan cultures before the calendar was introduced. The Roman calendar were celebrating the new year around March, so March is basically the end of one cycle and the beginning of the new, and that's where we are. And that's why I think it is really good timing. It is much better timing than ending the year with Sag, as we do now. Yeah, we end the year and we start with Capricorn. It is actually a much, astrologically speaking, much more logical way to end with Pisces, yeah, and to start with Aries, because Pisces, well, I don't need to tell you what Pisces are about. Pisces are about spirituality, inward looking, processing, thinking, ruminating, reflecting things. That's what we need to do before we wrap up a cycle. Yeah, we need to look back and to see what happened, what we have achieved before we enter the Aries mode, the Martian mode of this movement, of running, of being super proactive and building things anew. Basically why we do it in general. It is this trick in human psychology. There is a book of Romanian anthropologist and philosopher and historian Mircea Eliade, and it's called The Sacred and the Profane. And he noticed it in all cultures all over the world, that people need this time of ritual, the recreation of the sacred, so we believe that back in the day some important event happened and we need to recreate the sacred time to kind of bring it back, to reactualize the thing when world was recreated. That's essentially what we are doing, especially if we are religious during the Christmas. We celebrate the event which happened 2000 years ago, and symbolically Christ is born every December, and symbolically he is crucified every spring, right? And so we are in this time of this recreation. We need to help the nature restart. That's another very I like this idea, it again, many culture have that the class of priests, they're helping the nature to restart. In Egypt during the nighttime, there were special rituals which were allegedly helping the sun to go through the underworld in order to reappear on the sky the next day, because they believed obviously that the sun is traveling in the underworld during the night, and it is a dangerous travel because the sun is fighting there with this kind of primordial chthonic snake, kind of this dragon, you know. And so it was a danger that the snake would eat the sun and the sun would not reappear in the sky and we would be screwed. So the old Egyptian priests, they were performing specific rituals in order to help the sun to survive. So we know that obviously that's not the case. The sun does not depend on us, but symbolically it is important. We need basically to feel ourselves as part of this world and to help this world symbolically wrap up and reappear, you know. And with Pisces and Aries seasons, that's exactly what we are doing. So I guess it is a good time just to slow down, to stop, and to kind of feel yourself part of this world and think what's happening, think what has happened in your life, in the lives of the world, in nature, you know. Nature, again, nature either is being reborn in Northern Hemisphere or nature goes back to sleep. So again, there's those natural cycles changing. And it is very important for us. We as humans, we are really, like, you know, all those rituals of closure and new beginning, they're very important for us. So we need to participate actively in those. And another thing is that I think this moon is very good for it. The moon is happening at, you know, the new moon. It's a new moon, yeah? So the new moon, it is when the moon is conjunct the sun. The moon is conjunct the sun at 23 degrees Pisces, in very close proximity to Neptune, which is residing in Pisces for quite a while. I think it's around 20 degrees, and Venus, which is around 19 degrees. So Pisces, this very artistic, very sensitive, very poetic sign per se, very spiritual, sometimes head in the clouds. It is intensified by the conjunction, almost conjunction with Neptune and with Venus, because Neptune is watery, Neptune is dreamy, Neptune is artistic. It is about like poetic perception of reality, you know. And Venus is arts and beauty and self-expression and all things which we relate to, like, you know, self-indulgence, pleasure, including like spiritual pleasure and the pleasure of creating beauty and the pleasure of perceiving beauty. And so they're together and they create, I think, this very, very slow and pleasant and dreamlike atmosphere, like, you know, in which it is pleasant to dwell, I think, when we wrap things up before we start running together with the Aries in a month. So this moon is truly supported, and as always, the axis Virgo Pisces is highlighted. We were discussing Virgo 2 weeks ago, and I said that the important part of this dichotomy is that Virgo is basically health and physical health and your material body, and Pisces, if you wish, is your immortal soul. So it is this, there is the wholeness of human being in this axis, you know, not in our actions, like, I don't know, not in our environment, like axis Capricorn, Cancer, career and home, yeah, for example. Or I don't know, Aquarius, Leo, society, Aquarius and Leo, me, myself. No, it is a more kind of a more unifying experience for all of us, because whether we have career, whether we're social or antisocial, it doesn't matter. We all have a body and we all have a spirit. I suppose if you're watching this video, you believe that we do have a spirit, that we don't become just ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And this is important. This is kind of the point to end things with and to begin things with, to basically feel yourself as a human shape with a spirit. There are all those matters of spirit and matters of matter. Sorry for this, but I guess you know what I'm talking about. And so yeah, another thing which we might remember in relation to this, in relation to the matters of body and spirit, is that now we're entering the age of Aquarius, but humanity were in the age of Pisces for 2000 years, and our Pisces was Jesus Christ. If you know or not, early Christians were using a fish. It looks like this. using a fish as the symbol of Christ. They obviously were persecuted. They were not allowed to use other symbols. So they were using either a lamb or a fish. The fish they were using because the Greek word, old Greek word for fish, ichthys, can be read as the anagram of the name of Christ, Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. And so Pisces was the symbol of Christ. And as such, Christ himself is a very Piscean figure. I hope I don't need to tell you that, of course, he was not born in December. He was born in December. We celebrate Christmas in December because the feast replaced the winter solstice. That's why we celebrate it. It is the thought through symbolism that Christ was resurrected, same as the sun is resurrected on winter equinox. But Christ, as his character, as we know him described, he is a very Piscean-like person. He is ascended. And when we think of how he is portrayed, that he is fully human and fully God, he is this Virgo-Pisces axis. Pisces is the divine and Virgo is human. And as you remember, he and his disciple, he told to his disciples, they were fishermen, yeah, and he told them, since then you would be the fishermen of people, you would be fishing people, you know. So this whole archetype of fishes, fish, and of fishing as such, it is the metaphor for the saving of the soul, you know, for the salvation. And so we are invited to be even more spiritual than we are during the Pisces season, even more dreamy than you are. I think that you can indulge in whatever you want, but I would definitely recommend to have, like, you know, something to boost your spirit. Either it is poetry you're gonna read, or you're gonna like start journaling a bit, or writing yourself, or painting yourself, or do, I don't know, like spontaneous writing, or do dream journal, you know, pay more attention to your dreams, try to work with your dreams, you know. So because that's the season to do so, especially with the Neptune and Venus being there, and just pay attention to beauty. I'm a big popularizer of this idea. I don't think you need to be rich, or you need to be lazy, or you need to have lots of free time to enjoy beauty. You can be always on the run, very busy, and the mother of three, and still it depends on the shift in your attitude. If you prefer to notice the song of the bird, if you prefer to notice, like, you know, a small flower at your doorstep or not. This does not require any additional time or focus. It's just the way how your brain is shifted to react to things. You can always register small, beautiful things, like, you know, which would kind of embellish your day in a way, right? And before we start doing the tarot reading for the new moon and Pisces, yeah, let me just remind you that in tarot always challenges us, yeah? We can be talking astrology, archetypes, but then tarot challenges our perceptions, because the way tarot cards are associated with zodiacal symbols is very, very different in a way. It is like, you know, it always offers like a different perspective. And the card that we're using for the Pisces, which means Pisces in tarot, it is the moon card. And the moon card, the primary meaning of it in tarot is, yeah, you can have here. This one is Marielle Tarot. It's a pretty deck. It's not very orthodox card. Usually there would be like Dark Knight, a dog and a wolf, and then there is crab, which is kind of like swimming from the waters of the river, which symbolizes the consciousness which wakes up in the subconscious. So it means awakening. It means that the kind of the element of consciousness is awakening from your unconscious, that you're ascending to the new level, like this crab. And the moon as such, it is quite a difficult card to get. It means primarily all things which a dark night with a faint light of the moon would evoke in us. It can be fear of the monsters under your bed. It can be anxiety, uncertainty, not knowing what tomorrow will bring, not knowing how this night would go. It can bring the feeling of solitude, like, like the famous Beethoven sonata, which was called Moonlight Sonata, because of the very unusual beginning, very slow and very, how to say, very kind of pensive, so to speak, that which evokes in us this feeling that of solitude, of kind of nostalgia, of longing for something else, kind of more feelings of the sad spectrum. So this is the moon in tarot. But the thing with this card is that because it is the Pisces card, it gives us kind of solutions through intuition, that basically you trick yourself through your intuitive feeling of how to get through it, like, how to get through this dark night of the soul, how to get through anxieties, and how to basically survive till the sunrise, when you have like sleepless night, insomnia, and you are worried about something and so on. You trust your intuition, and your intuition knows that things would be okay. And yeah, so it is, how to say, it is probably an uncomfortable card to get. At the same time, it offers a solution. It offers a solution on its own, and the solution is in just basically trusting the spirit, Aries is very egocentric. Aries is about doing, making, acting, and so on. And Pisces, before we start doing this, we need to wrap up this astrological year and just surrender. Just basically surrender and let ourselves dream a bit and think and reflect of what we've done, what we have achieved. I will remind again, new moon classically is a time for setting intentions. So I think it is a very good time to set intentions, because it is, again, to quote Mircea Eliade, it is this kind of sacred time, which is not part of our human time, which is not here, not there. It is the kind of rebirth of the time. One cycle is dying and the new cycle is born, and in between the death and the rebirth there is this tiny gap, which is kind of not here, not there. And in this tiny gap, in this liminal magical zone, we can plant the seeds of our intentions and just hope that they would come true in the new astrological year, which would start with Aries. So enjoy the Pisces season. I think it is beautiful. I think Neptune and Venus kind of like are such a harmonious triplet of energies, the moon and Pisces, and the Neptune and the Venus. So all things dreamy and poetic and beautiful. And even if you're a busy bee and piled with work right at the moment, as I am, I took like so much works recently that I'm just like, I don't know like why I did this, but I love working. I'm Virgo rising, so I love working. And yeah, I mean, even if you're piled with work, super busy, still find some time to, I don't know, to read some ancient legend before you go to bed, to read a nice book, to think about something, to like, to, I don't know, write down the quotation that you liked from a song or a book or something into your journal. Think a bit about it, because it is like, it is all about now poetry and beauty and philosophy and taking things easy and kind of taking things aesthetically, looking at everything through the prism of beauty. It's actually, I think, a very good advice for life, because even when your life is crumbling down to shit, beauty is always around us. So in case you interact with the world in these terms, in the terms of aesthetic feeling as well, then I think that will always bring you some solace, I don't know, I know it is very, very decadent, very Oscar Wilde, I think, position, yeah, that kind of art for the sake of art, and there is nothing but beauty in the world, which is worth considering. But sometimes I think that is the right approach to take things, and especially during this new moon in Pisces. On this positive note, we would do a reading. You know what? I decided to try a new format today, just to not to keep us too, how to say, not too quick, to kind of make it boring, like, you know. So instead of 3 tarot cards, I decided to pull 2 tarot cards and 1 oracle card for each sign. And I wanted to use the Sufi oracle deck because I love Sufism. If you know Sufism, it is a mystic movement in Islam. It is very deep, and it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful philosophy and system of perceiving the world. The very popular Rumi, he was a Sufi leader, and it is like, you know, I think it is very fine mode of perceiving the world and God and your place in this world through love, you know. So we'd be using this deck of cards, and yeah, as always, leave comments or ask questions. I'll be happy to read all of them. I'm always reading. Thank you so much for being with me, and yeah, let's see what the moon in Pisces has in store for us. So we start with Pisces, right? Pisces, for you, it is happening. It is the moon, the new moon in Pisces happening in your first house. Happy birthday, Pisces. Happy birthday, Pisces sun. And I hope you would enjoy your day. The cards that you got are very cool. So you got the World, you got the Queen of Wands, and you got Imagination. Super cool, isn't it? So go watch my introduction, because we discussed all things Pisces. Well, not all things Pisces, but a little bit of things about Pisces, you know. And the thing is that Pisces is our collective 12th house. Pisces is wrapping up is wrapping up the astrological year for us, and that's why the World came into your reading. The World is card number 21. It's the last card of the major arcana set in the tarot deck. So the World card, it is exactly what this new moon is. And it's not a big surprise that it came into your reading, because obviously yourself being Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, you resonate with this energy of your sign, the energy of closure. You are part of the collective, obviously, so you're wrapping things up, but probably you just feel it a little bit stronger. If you are Pisces sun, that's more understandable, because you are literally having your birthday, so you are kind of like saying goodbye to 1 year and starting the new year of your life. Hence the World. The World means a big closure and rebirth. All ancient mythologies, they know that the world is temporal, the world is slowly growing older. So the world has aeons of life, and then the world is destroyed, and then the world is rebuilt anew. That's why here there is, like, you know, this mother goddess. She reminds me of Egyptian goddess Nut, who was the goddess who created the world through her marriage with the god of the earth, and she was this goddess of the night sky. So she was black, and her body has carved stars. You would see Nut in pretty much lots of, like, you know, Egyptian tombs and pyramids, that she would be this kind of, in the shape of the table, she would be kind of like an arch on the vault of the mural or wall, you know, and so on. So she is this creator of the world. She's this night pregnant with stars, night, darkness pregnant with potential, you know. And so it is this closure which already is pregnant with the new beginning, you know. So I suppose what this card tells is that, especially for you, it is important to really think a lot about closure. And because this moon is dreamy and is together with Pisces and Venus, I think it is even like very selfish in a way, very egoistic, you know. So think of really yourself and what brings you happiness, you know. Think of what you want your world to be. The world card means big changes. It because the world, it might mean physical relocation, going abroad, traveling, you know, distant traveling, moving countries, you know, moving houses and so on. So very big changes, which would literally and physically end things in one place and start things in a different place. And I think that for you, it is really important to kind of realize this closure and get ready for the new things, and new things are coming because your next card is Queen of Wands. That's very interesting how cards came for you. Queen of Wands, she might be Aries, Sag, or Leo. Yeah, Leo. She is a super active queen. She is probably like, you know, okay, Queen of Swords, she's independent, but she's a little bit kind of like, she's very sober in her mind. She could be like, I don't know, a scholar in political sciences, something like this. Queen of Wands, for me, it is this kitsch, very like, you know, very kitsch, very original thinker, this woman who, like, you know, who is wearing crazy stuff, like, you know, who's wearing leopard mini or something. So it is like, you know, very confident, very much like, you know, sure of herself, very independent, but independent as an original thinker, you know. So maybe that would be the case, that, like, you know, in your own seasons you will wrap things up, and then when we move to Aries season, you will get this kind of like boost of energy, as we all will, I hope. And it would be like time to kind of start again with this fire, with this passion, with, like, you know, trying as well, being curious and trying different modes, different ways of thinking about things, different actions. And the super cool Sufi oracle card which I got for you, because yeah, if you haven't watched the introduction, I'm doing today 2 tarot cards and 1 oracle card, just to get some, because, you know, the new moon in Pisces is so creative, so it is time to change the routine a little bit. You got the super cool card, Imagination. Draw from the well of your own capabilities. I'm not surprised that you got it, Pisces, because as I was talking in the introduction, the moon is almost conjunct Neptune and Jupiter, or Neptune and Venus, and I was talking a lot about art and self-expression. And in case you haven't watched, go watch it. But look, your keyword for this month is imagination. That's brilliant. So that's kind of like, you know, that is very much in line with those 2 cards. Basically, you wrap things up and you no longer want to live the way you were living. Then imagination comes in, because you need to reinvent the way you're doing things to become the super independent, kitsch and fantastic Queen of Wands. And this card, look at it, how bright it is. It is like saturated with color. So it just means like, be bold. Even if this idea seems absolutely nuts to majority of people, if that's your vision, you know what, like, the moon is with Neptune. Neptune is a creative artist. Artist has a vision. Artist doesn't go mainstream. Artist has a vision. People are telling him, you're bananas, you know. Artist says, no, that's my vision. That's how I see things. Can't care less, you know, sorry. And that's it. Like, you know, that's very much artistic. At the same time, that's very much Queen of Wands vibe. Originality, you know, original approach to life. Very brave, bold fantasies. That's a really cool message. Next one is Jesus. Maybe because we are in this Pisces season, you know, I'm a Pisces moon, so I'm triggered. It is more difficult today than ever to count what's happening in which house. Okay, next one is Aries. For you, it is Pisces is your 12th house. 12th house of release, yeah, because, how to say, because you will be celebrated the next month. Next month is your birthday, Aries, so that's amazing. And but now it is Pisces, yeah, so you are very much in line with how we interpret things collectively, because you are our collective first house, and every house is counted from you, basically, Aries. And so for you it is your 12th house, and it is the 12th house for all of us, and we are all invited to wrap things up and to start recreating the new ways. And now let me shuffle. And welcoming the new. Again, I think same as for Pisces, it is easy for Aries because you're also preparing for your birthday. So whatever it is, your body already knows that soon your birthday date would come. So I'm talking for Aries sun, obviously. And that's very understandable that for you it is more natural to end things and start new things. Oh, great stuff. Yeah. Wow, cool. Wow, that's very cool. Look what you got. You got the Three of Swords, then you got the Empress, and then you got Return to Joy. That's like, it's super funny how this card basically summarized what those two are about to say. I don't know. It's cool. It's cool. I think that Pisces season is good for all those things, for tarot readings, for divinations, and so on. Sorry, I'm applying cream on my hands because they got super dry, and it distracts me because the cracks in my hands are painful. So I focus on my body instead of focusing on your reading. That's why it's a small technical sport. Stop. So Three of Swords. Yeah, Three of Swords is the most like sorrowful card in tarot. Yeah, probably it's the card of the broken heart. It has the most vivid imagery that when you get it you immediately become sad, even if before you got it you were in a good mood. When you get it you kind of get sad straight away. Yes, it's a broken heart, it's a grief, it's the wound, like, you know. But because we're using today the Sufi oracle cards, let me remind you of the phrase from one of the poems of Rumi, one of the most popular quotations of his, that the wound is the place through which light enters you. And that's very much, it can be the motto of this card, because it's exactly what's happening. The heart is pierced by three swords. If you have ever been in the Catholic Church, you would know that this is like taken from the iconography of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, Sacred Heart of Mary, when they're pierced with swords, like just to symbolize the passions, everything Christ went through and everything his mother went through with him, yeah, because she loved her son. So it is this sorrow of loss, sorrow of not even that much of failure, but of loss, basically, yeah, of being betrayed, of grieving something, like, you know. And grievance is an important process for us, like, you know. I'm definitely not I'm not up for positive psychology. We don't need this. We need to give ourselves room to grieve, to look back, to get upset about things, to lament things which didn't happen, and so on, so on. So through this wound, through the grieving, beautiful roses, they start growing out of this blood. So it brings fruit, it brings fruition. And then those roses, because roses are flowers and flowers are ruled by Venus, the next card, it's like a story, you know. There was the broken heart, but from the drops of blood on this heart, roses started growing, and those roses became the Empress, because the Empress is Venus, and she has a rose even here, like, you know. She has a rose, look, she's wearing it on her neck. So she's wearing it to demonstrate to the world of the beautiful rose which she has grown from the blood dripping from her heart. It is like, you know, it is overcoming the wound and being proud of it and displaying it and being not ashamed of what you have been through, but showing it proudly, like, you know, like Christians are showing the sign of the cross, you know. When apostles are saying that you're light to the world, you know, you are salt to this world, you know. You need to testify what you've been through, and that's what she's doing. She is wearing this kind of this rose, which is, as we know from this card, is the symbol of her passions, passions, sufferings, yeah. And as you can see, the lesson was learned, and she has a very big harvest. She has a baby. She's Venus, like, you know. Empress is the goddess of fertility. She's the goddess, again, to be honest, of the new cycles of life, of the rebirth of nature, which makes sense if we live in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, she's this kind of like ever youthful spring, which is reborn after the losses of winter, so to speak, you know. And so what this card means is exactly what this oracle card is saying. I don't know how this is possible. Return to joy. We are here to experience joy. And you see even the imagery of this card again. This tunnel, it is dark-ish. It is uncertain. I don't think there is sort of like a path to walk. So you would need to kind of try to find your way in that inside of this tunnel, but outside there is light at the end of the tunnel, you know. So it is going through tribulation to the ultimate joy, which you need to embrace. And yeah, just basically give yourself time to grieve your losses and to be reborn as this beautiful empress, and like which is Venus, you know. And I mean, yeah, Venus is in your 12th house because the new moon is almost conjunct Venus. Venus is at 19 degrees and Neptune is at 23 degrees. Yes. So it is very, very Venusian in a way, in a nature. And it is what 12th house is about. Grieving, releasing, and embracing the new. And Venus is there to help you. Next one is Taurus. For you, Pisces is your 11th house. 11th house of friendships, gains, social networks. I would like to have a table in front of me so that I can do everything here, like the magician in the tarot. He has a table in front of him, which is much nicer. No way. It's the same card. I was shuffling you, so okay, I think maybe it's a universal advice. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because you got the same card as Aries just got. Oh, you came into your own reading. Taurus, you got Page of Wands and you got the Hierophant. Hierophant in Tarot is Taurus. You also got, same as Aries, Return to Joy. It's a universal advice. So the new moon is in your 11th house, yeah, and the new moon is the time to set intentions, like, you know. Look at this Page of Wands. Page of Wands is always very youthful energy. It is the energy of like kid who is so enthusiastic and curious. It's the energy of a toddler, maybe, like, who's just running around. He's opening things, closing things, like, you know, he's taking this, taking that, throwing, taking. Page of Wands is exactly like this toddler. In this deck, though, she is the I don't know how to say it in English, the Jeanne d'Arc, this woman who won the 100-year war between France and England. And Page of Wands, although very, as I said, very curious, very creative, very fiery, nonetheless is very much like stubborn, like she was. And I think as Taurus you can relate to this, because Tauruses are stubborn, same as Capricorns. Stubborn to the point of madness, you know. Because when Jeanne, she came and she said, well, I'm hearing those voices, I need to see the king. She was a peasant girl and people thought that she's a cuckoo, you know. But she was so stubborn because she knew the truth is on her side. The history has shown that she was right. And so because this moon Pisces as such very artistic, and artists are very individual, and artists, they are defending their own like vision and creations and the right to live the life that they want. I guess it is time for all of us to kind of adopt this extreme individuality and being led by the spirit to what we want. So in case also because the Pisces moon is together with Venus and Neptune, it is like, you know, creative thinking, thinking out of the box, like, you know, finding artistic solutions. So in case like, you know, you start getting those ideas which to you as a very conservative Taurus seem weird, and to people around you seem weird as well, go for them, to be honest. Maybe those voices which you can't really trust, maybe actually they are the right ones to follow, like, you know, this would bring you on a totally new path, and interestingly more in alignment with who you are, like, you know, because this, who was Jeanne d'Arc? She was a revolutionary, you know. So this energy of revolutionary which you got actually, like, you know, is in total alignment with yourself, because Hierophant is Taurus. And the good thing, the important thing about this card, yeah, is that there is this key this person is holding, and it is holding it at the level of the heart. So it is this heart-centered approach even to things material, because even Taurus, who is very much about material abundance, is here using the key to heaven, like, you know, the key to the heart. So I guess think like in, I don't know, 11th house or not, it is time for you to really think alike, and surprisingly to really think in a non-conventional way, and surprisingly it can bring you back to yourself, which is more a conventional way of thinking, which is like, you know, very rationalized patterned way of doing things. But maybe it is also time to kind of radicalize them in a way. Oh, by the way, like, of course, Uranus is in Taurus. Of course, you need to radicalize everything. And but it's beautiful when Sadic sign came to their own readings. It's always a good sign, to be honest. And the oracle card is Return to Joy, same as Aries got. I think it's universal advice. Yeah, the introduction this time is really short, because I think it's this moon, she's so simple and pure that there is no need to talk too much about it. But I was talking about, like, you know, how Venus and Neptune and new moon in Pisces, they create this dreamlike artistic aesthetic vibe, aesthetic atmosphere. So Return to Joy, to be honest, that's our ultimate goal on this earth, to know how to be happy, to know how to achieve joy, how to be joyful, like, you know, despite of everything. And joy, I think, for me at least, is also very much related to beauty, and to finding those small pleasures in life. So I think at least joy through beauty is what we can get from this moon, definitely. Next one is Gemini, right? Next one is Gemini. And for you, it is your 10th house. Pisces is your 10th house of career, yeah? Gemini, I think. Taurus is April. Yeah, May is Gemini. Cool. Gemini, I think that Mars is in your house now. Fuel rocketing you together with the North Node still. So the new moon is happening in your 10th house of career. Let's see how this moon is actually good for career, because it is so dreamy. At the same time, if you Gemini have creative jobs, I think it's great. I think it's going to be great if you have creative or artistic jobs. Wonderful. Wow. Oi, okay, the message turned out to be very different. Interesting. It's unreal. I don't know, the Sufi oracle really works, because it very much illustrates the tarot. You got the Death card, you got the 7 of Discs, and you got Ending a Trauma, which is very much the Death card. So again, the cards are very much connected to each other, because seven of death, because death card is the major arcana of Scorpio, yeah, so it is the major arcana of ending things, of the conclusion of a cycle, of a big closure, of releasing. And that's very important, because when something is dead, clinging out to it would not bring the things alive. Things which are dying need to be let to die and to be buried. When we bury, funeral as such is a very important ritual, which didn't change much. When we think of other rituals, initiation rituals are gone completely in Western society. Weddings changed to be just a big party, but the funeral ritual is pretty much same as it was thousands of years ago, because we know that it is more sacral than the others, because we realize the importance of celebrating through ritual the release, the letting go, the loss, the farewell. And the death in tarot doesn't mean physical death. I'm just stressing this. I'm just using this. It's a metaphor. It doesn't mean physical death. It means release. People don't like this card. I think it's the best card in tarot, because this card has amazing excitement in it. You see here, there is like this goddess, probably, yeah. She's an old hag, and literally she looks to me like some Indian, like, American Indian, yeah, Native American, sorry, I don't know how to, I'm not native speaker in English, so I sometimes translate from my native tongue. Native Americans called, yeah. So she has those like features of the Native American hag, or something, like, old wise woman, like medical women in shamanism of Mesoamerica. And at the same time, although she's this kind of old and gray haired, she has those beautiful orchids and flowers adorning her body, adorning her hair, so it is this new life which springs out of the old. And you need to do some massive release. I don't know what that's going to be. Probably this trauma, which the oracle card is talking about. What does it say? Ending a trauma, transform memories and symptoms. It's a beautiful motto, to be honest. Transform memories and symptoms. The idea of this life is not to be deprived of bad memories. If our bad memories are suddenly wiped away from our brains, we will not suddenly become happy. We would still be unhappy, because happiness is through working with bad memories, internalizing them, making them your strong point, making them the part of yourself, working through them and releasing them and knowing how to live with them. Only then you can become a happy human being, and that's what the death card is about. Ending a trauma, transform memories and symptoms. That's a very beautiful card, to be honest. And on a more positive note, another card that you got is Seven of Pentacles, and Seven of Pentacles is the card of the demiurge, the card of the creator. You see how intensive this card is? The mountains, the sun eclipsed, the water, the fire, the sigils of the planets. It is the Big Bang. It is the reconstruction of the universe. And that's what it is. You bury the old things, you work through trauma, you end a trauma, it's said explicitly, ending, and then you take responsibility for the life you're about to build. This card, Pentacles, is very down to earth, very, like, grounded. There is no one to blame. You, through internalizing, working through your trauma, you become an adult. Because if you don't internalize your dramas, you would be forever child. You would always be a child with kind of trapped in your childhood in a bad way. No, you grow up through this, and you say, yes, I'm an adult. There is no one to blame. I'm the only one who is responsible for the life I'm having and for the world I'm building around me. This is the card of God, creator, and it is a reminder that we are all kind of creators, we are all definitely creators of our own lives, and that we need to take responsibility for the actions we are doing and for the wounds we are about to heal. It's healing. It came into your house of career, Gemini, but I think that the message is much wider. I think it is about life situation in general. Next one is Gemini, Cancer. Yes, it is Cancer. I don't know what to say, to be honest. Really weird. I thought that I lost 1 month and I couldn't think of who it might be. Okay, Cancer. Pisces is your 9th house. 9th house, it is the house of Sag, I think, yeah? It is the house of Sag, so it is the house of philosophy, of philosophical patterns, and so on. Actually, I think it's gonna be cool because it is a very kind of like, how to say, exalted house, like, you know, it is the house which is related to high learning, to philosophies, to patterns, and also to like, you know, quest, like taking life as a quest, taking life as an adventure, taking life as a journey. So that's super nice. And the moon is together with Neptune and Venus. Ooh, oh, cool. Oh, wow, that's unreal. Wow. And yeah, so the moon is together with the Venus, so wow, it's super cool. To be honest, I think it's going to be a short one because it is so concise. You got 9 of Wands. Look at the color. You got 8 of Wands. And you got the free will. Cancer, you need to be on fire. It is time to leave your cocoon. You know what it says? Free will, get out of your cocoon. It is really for Cancer, who is in the shell and like, I don't want to be out. No, it's time to be out and about. This moon, yeah. This moon, yeah, as I said, it is kind of romantic and dreamy and so on, but I don't think it's boring. I don't think it is like sitting in the cocoon writing poetry. It is about to show yourself. It is very creative, like, you know. And what is the archetype of artist? Artist wants, well, there are exceptions. There were people like Kafka, you know, who didn't want his novels to be published. But in general, artists have ambitions to be shown to the world, to be acknowledged, you know, to what's the point of painting or writing and hiding it under the table, you know? Oh, I'm here, like, you know, I'm on the scene, I'm here to show myself. That's kind of what the artists are, and this moon is super artistic and supercharged. And Cancer, for you, it's time to stop hiding in your shell. Oh, I have one for you here. I have one for you from the Irish beach. So, yeah. So look, Cancer, there is nothing to talk about. 9 of Wands, super active. 8 of Wands, super active. You see, you're growing. 8 of Wands, it is the courage of awakening, sort of, like, you know. 8 is a master number of spiritual victory. 7 in tarot is spiritual challenge. 8 is like spiritual victory. Eights as such, they mean kind of like standing at the gate of the paradise, and 9 is the final master number. It is entering the paradise, that is completion. 8, so 8, it is this kind of elevated mind, elevated spirit, which was already allowed to enter the kind of like sacristy, to enter the higher realms, to be already present in front of those gates. So it is awakening. There is, like, you know, the girl, she's covered with this cloak, starry cloak, which symbolizes the night and the eternal dream and so on. So she's dreaming. Again, Pisces are very much about dreaming. She's dreaming, like, you know, she's we are all in a dream, and then we wake up to our true selves, to the reality. And she's about to wake up to eternity. Yeah, number 8 is the eternity, and there is this fiery wingy lion, you know, and which is like a phoenix bird, like, you know, he's her divine protector. So it is divine spirit, you know, that Holy Spirit in the Bible, for example, he's portrayed as fire on this Pentecost, I think it's called in English, yeah. You know that Holy Spirit ascended to disciples as flames from their heads, you know, it was like a flame over their head. That's important. By the way, you would relate, because flame, fireplace, it is the spirit, the heart, the core of the house. And Cancer is about house. Cancer is house of house, as I say, fourth house, house of house. And so it is this kind of like finding your core, finding your true value and awakening to it, and then mastering it, and mastering it very quickly. You only have one step. 8 of Wands, Knight of Wands. And this little girl who is sleeping here, she becomes this beautiful woman, already adult woman. And this lion who here is just the Holy Spirit, he's like, you know, he's more like a spectre. Yeah, he's more like a phantom, kind of angelic phantom vision. Here he is a very tangible lion, which she manifested. So it is about, again, about growing up, adulting up, if I can say so, becoming an adult, becoming responsible, and starting manifesting things, like, you know, which you can surely do. And how do you manifest things? How do you make from the idea of a lion a very material, tangible, glorious, fierce tiger? You exercise your free will. You exercise your free will, and whatever you call it, law of attraction. But in any way, like, you know, it is important, before you start achieving, it's first important to decide that that's what you want. That's when the free will comes in handy. Get out of your cocoon. You see, there is a woman, she was in this cocoon, in this massive shell, and she's swimming out of it. She's leaving her trap, you know, she's going for what she deserves. And so Cancer, I think that, look, this was the house of your spiritual quest and spiritual transformation and philosophical passions and beliefs. Look, it is time to clean things up in that realm, like, you know, to wrap things up, to be more bold, definitely, to kind of like get this courage that you need to achieve things that you want. You got 8 in major arcana, is major arcana number 8, the strength, the courage, nature, and that fortune favors the bold. That's the whole idea of it. Next one is Leo. Leo, for you, Pisces is your 8th house. 8th house is Scorpionic house of transformation, and metamorphosis, and, as I like to say, reshaping yourself, reinventing yourself. Cool, that's what I was just saying. Magician and 7 of Swords. And let's see what's the oracle card for you. Seriously? For those who are watching all signs, yes, return to joy. For those who didn't, Aries got this card and Taurus got this card. I guess I will call the video return to odd. I would call it ode to joy, because I was remembering Beethoven today, the Moonlight Sonata. Yes, ode to joy it is. So look, house of transformation, and you get new moon and Pisces there, Neptune and Venus, all things dreamy, all things artistic, all things beautiful. And here you're the magician, The magician is the ultimate transformer. He knows how to transform the reality. The tarot starts with card 0, which is a fool. The fool is just pure potential. The fool is just an idea. The fool needs to take a leap of faith, learn a lot. As I say always, we take the journey from 0 fool to 21, the world, as one developing journey through different stages of tarot. But the thing is that the whole journey might take, I don't know, let's say, 3 years. And from those 2.5 years would be to go from 0 to 1. Because when you're already in the natural cycle of numbers, it's easy, 1, 2, 3, 4. But 0, it's not a number. It's 0, it's 0. 0 doesn't exist. So 0 needs lots of energy and impulse to become 1. Because from becoming being a fool, being this empty spirit, shapeless, bodiless, totally potential, before you become magician, who not only has body and shape and intellect, also has magical abilities because he mastered everything. He's a wizard. He's a wise man. It takes you the 2/3 of the path and then 1/3 to jump from 1 to 21. That's easy when you're a magician. So that's about jumping into this, starting owning yourself, reinventing yourself, reshaping yourself, finally having courage and belief in yourself that you can do it. And 7 of Swords, again, like, 7 of Swords, okay, it can be card of betrayal and deceit. 7s are quite challenging. And Tarot Swords, it's the suit of air, of mind, of intellect. But in all fairness, this card also means thinking out of the box. And what they mean together is that the magician he's at this already level of operating. Why he's a magician, what is the magic about him, is that he wins because he comes up with the non-standard solutions. And the super original and individual and creative moon is happening in your 8th house of transformation. So it is time to start thinking out of the box and maybe even paying attention to stimuli which you didn't pay attention before. I don't know. And even if you decide to change your whole life because of the line in the song which resonated very much for you, to be honest, maybe it's not a bad idea. If you want a spontaneous change, if you think that it's kind of a little bit insane, that's the vibe of the new moon in Pisces with Venus and Neptune. If you see a dream in which you're told to, I don't know, change jobs, maybe it's something worth considering, because information would be coming to you through non-conventional ways. It would be coming for you by very different allies. And the Oracle card return to joy. I don't know what else to say. Everyone seems to be getting it, but maybe that's the whole imperative of the new moon with Neptune and Venus, because what is Venus? It's joy. What is Neptune? It is joy. It's beauty. It's creative expression itself. It's artistic expression. It is this moment when you're sitting in the audience of a theater and you totally forget about yourself because you're absolutely absorbed in what's happening on the stage. You're absorbed in music, you're absorbed in action, in the beauty of the performance, and whatever it is. So return to joy. We are here to experience joy. That's very important. Like, we don't owe nothing to nobody. We only owe things to ourselves, and the only thing we owe to ourselves is to become happy, is to be happy. Next one is Virgo. Virgo, for you the moon is happening in your 7th house of partnerships, yeah. So it is quite an important moon for you as well, because you're kind of a participant. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, they make sense together. You got 7 of Wands, 6 of Swords, and look at this. You got a fairy. Do not be frustrated. Let go and feel peaceful. Love this card. I don't usually work with those cards, so most of them are new for me as well. That's the first time in my life I see this card. I don't know how it's possible. But anyway, 7 of Wands. Yeah, 7, as I keep saying, 7 is a spiritual challenge. 7 in a classical deck would be strife. So there would be a group of people kind of like fighting on wands, or either you are on the top of the mountain or the tower and you're trying to get rid of your enemies who are climbing the wall with their wands to beat you up, you know, to the pulp. But here, 7 of Wands, I think it has a very different meaning in this card. It is about, in a way, facing yourself. Look at this. Who is this guy? Who is this white wolf? Wolf, as such, as people who are working with spirit animals and so on, wolf as such is kind of like the spirit animal of humanity. If, by the way, you're interested in this, 90% of every second person you're asking who are doing like those meditation spirit animals, they would say, oh, my spirit animal is a wolf. People somehow relate with wolves very strongly, and so wolf, it is like your alter ego, you know. And so look at this wolf with green eyes. It is like a mirror, you know. You're just looking at each other and finding answers, you know. So I think what it means is that because the new moon is in your house of partners, that partnerships start with the dialogue with yourself. That it is important to partner up with yourself, to have very sincere dialogue with yourself, looking into your own eyes, in the eyes of your alter ego, and seeing it for what it is, like, you know, and listening to this alter ego, and yeah, looking at what it has to say. And because your axis is activated, yeah, so the 7 of Wands, yeah, Wands again, it's the suit of fire, it's the suit of spark of life. The spark is spirit, you know. It is the creativity. We create through spirit, we achieve through spirit. And the other card that you got, the 6 of Swords, it is such a Virgo card because it's the card of the healer. 6 of Swords in Mariel Tarot is the card of Archangel Raphael, who is the healer, who is the angel, who is the patron of medicine. And he has, you see even here, this medical symbol, like, you know, the snake and the staff. And you see he's hugging this company of 3. There are 2 kids and a dog. 2 kids, that's whatever you want to call it. I somehow don't like this term, the inner child. I absolutely don't like it. I don't relate it. But I guess we can say it is probably the most fragile, the most innocent, the most easily wounded and easily hurt part of yourself that needs healing. And the dog, it's obviously more like animal part of yourself, yeah, more like your animal instincts, your instinct of self-protection and so on. So those need to be very deeply healed, and in this way those two come together. So you start with your inner dialogue and you allow Archangel Raphael to heal those things, and Virgo as such as an archetype is a healer, yeah. So it is the healing energy of Virgo and the spiritual energy of Pisces. So it is together, taken together, healing of the spirit. And this makes sense in relation to the 7th house, because if you want to bring new, fresh beginnings to your 7th house matters, you need to start with yourself. You need to heal your own spirit first. Then you would see clearly your partners, your business partners, and so on, for what they are. So it is healing, and kind of, how to say, this card, it's just a perfect one-liner of the tarot cards. Do not be frustrated, let go and feel peaceful. Do not be afraid of the new beginnings or of the past. Just make peace with it reconcile and feel peaceful, even if you feel like certain frustration because of what's kind of like bubbling inside. There is no need to be frustrated. It all can be solved through a very simple dialogue with yourself, and through just healing yourself and allowing, like, you know, your spirit is a healer. If you allow him to heal yourself, he would. It's just that you need to talk to yourself really in the atmosphere of trust, and of, like, you know, total fairness, you know, fairness. Next one is Libra. Libra, for you, Pisces is your sixth house of routine, of health, of I'm losing my thoughts, sorry. Of health, of routine, of work, of your co-workers, and all things Virgo, and service to the others. I think that's beautiful to get this new moon in your sixth house. The moon is together with Pisces, or with Venus and Neptune, so it is watery, poetic, very versatile, very volatile, and I think it is kind of, it gives you nice energy to somehow revolutionize or cheer up and clean up, like, you know, your everyday routine, which is important. Sixth house is an important house because there are beautiful things of matter and fantasy and spirit, but after all, we live in everyday reality. Oh, cool. You got the same card as Pisces, by the way. It's super interesting. Look at how big this deck is. And I'm getting the same 3 cards for everyone. That's appalling, you know. That's appalling. So 2 of Wands, Libra. 5 of Pentacles, yeah? And imagination. So yeah, pretty much so. Let some light and air into your daily routine. Again, Neptune is very unconventional. Venus is all about beauty. Actually, maybe even with Venus being so close to the moon, it can be a simple solution to somehow beautify your daily routine. To be honest, I'm a big fan of those small things, maybe because I'm a Virgo. To surround your workplace with cute little things which would kind of embellish your day, embellish your workspace. I don't know, if your routine, if you have sport routine, to get yourself some, I don't know, pretty water bottle, you know, or get yourself some pretty, I don't know, pillow for your bed, for your sleeping routine, or I don't know, get yourself something totally useless, but I don't know, a key ring or something that would every day remind you of, like, you know, other parts of life, of beauty, of something, like, you know, maybe it's a good idea even to kind of, like, you know, use something in your daily routine which you brought from travels, like, you know, I don't know, a mug that you bought when you were in Spain or something, or again, like, you know, wearing some earrings which you bought when you were, like, by the seashore, that would remind you of this kind of breath of fresh air, of something different, of something not routinely. So incorporating symbols of not routine into your routine and everyday life. That's very much the 2 of Wands, because 2 of Wands is about expanding horizons, you know. 2 of Wands in classical deck, the card of a traveler, you know, who is just standing there by the ocean. He looks at the horizon, he thinks, oh, where am I going next, you know. This card a little bit more mystic because it's about stepping into the unknown, starting a new journey which is unknown to you. Yeah, 2, it's very small card. It is about only new beginnings. And 5 of Pentacles, it's usually the card of misery, but not in this deck. In this deck, it is actually the card of the heart-centered approach to material things. And that's exactly what it is, your 6th house, like, you know, in this wave of beauty and poetry and dreamlike kind of channeling and stuff. So Pentacles is obviously very material realm, very down to earth and so on, which our everyday life is, which our health routine is, which our work routine is. But look, like, you know, this man, he has this small landscape in his heart, and he's looking down and he's showing it. It is this life-centered approach, heart-centered approach to life. I mean, even 5 kind of challenging and small number in Pentacles, they are about mundane physical world. Even those tiny things can be done with the pleasure of the heart-centered approach, like, you know, with the pleasure of aligning with, not succumbing to this kind of oppressing sense of routine sometimes, but finding excitement in this routine through holding something in your heart, like, you know, which you can project outside. I hope this makes sense. And actually, yeah, and actually the last card makes sense in relation to what I said. Imagination, yeah. So this, like, this man, like, you know, it is a man who is, like, you know, who needs to work hard in order to gain his daily bread, but he's smiling because he has this serendipitous place in his heart, his like little sanctuary, and for this you need imagination. So kind of imagination in this way provides you a way to escape routine, to escape the boringness of doing things in the same way every day. Imagination is your channel to, like, you know, to eternity, and this new moon is very imaginative. So maybe it is even, like, you know, it is even like an advice to imagine yourself, to reimagine, to reinvent this routine for you, you know, to reinvent the routine for you, for sure. So next one is Scorpio. Scorpio, for you, the new moon is happening in your 5th house. The new moon is together with Neptune and Venus, and the 5th house is the house of romance and self-expression and so on, which is beautiful to have Venus in this house, because Venus is love and Venus is at the same time art and creative expression. And what you got is that you got the Hanged Man, you got the 3 of Wands, and you got turn over a new page. Beautiful messages. The Hanged Man, yes, it can mean delays, it can mean uncertainty of hanging in between land and sky, but it also means the radical change, mostly in your head, you know. So change of attitude to things, maybe to matters related to the to the uh, to the 5th house, you know. So you reconsider, you change your point of view, like, you know, what it is, 180 whatever degrees, you know. So you start seeing things from a different perspective. It is about renewal of the way you look at things, you speak about things, you consider things. But also the important part in relation, I think, to this, if we take 5 houses, the house of self-expression, is that the Hanged Man, it is the card of poetry as well, because the Hanged Man, it's Odin, the high god of the Norsemen, who sacrificed himself on the sacred tree. He sacrificed himself to himself, and as a reward he gained the knowledge of magic, the knowledge of poetry, the knowledge of sacred words. So it is kind of also about ascending and finding your own voice, of how you can express yourself, of how you can manifest things, of how you can practice magic, like, you know. That's why the Hanged Man in many decks, he would be portrayed as some sort of a, not a man who was sacrificed, but a deity. Even like here, you know, the color scheme of this deck is all turquoise and purple. Those are the colors, you know, of the crown chakra in Hinduism. So it is like, you know, to get the Piscean moon, very dreamy, very, like, you know, open-minded, very unconventional, with poetic, artistic Neptune and very artistic Venus in your house of self-expression. That's a big yes. If you, Scorpio, have a creative hobbies or a creative profession, I think you might expect really a big kind of wave of inspiration and of, like, you know, starting to think of things in a very new way. And you also got the Three of Wands. Wands is such as the suit of fire, yeah, the suit of fire element, of fire signs. Fire in tarot stays for creativity, and three, it is like, you know, seeing the first visible tangible results of the stage 2, which is planning, of the stage ace, which is the spark of life, the spark of idea, only like this lamp which like ta-da appears when the idea appears in the head of the cartoon character. The snake here, it is kundalini awakening, you know, kundalini, the snake, the coiled life force at the bottom of your spine, which starts unfolding and goes up to your head and kind of explodes with the, like, you know, with this burst of life, you know. So it is this beautiful rejuvenation of life, the beautiful change of cycles, change of seasons, change of like, you know, the way you think of things. Both of those cards, like, you know, it is kind of when you start thinking about problems in a non-conventional way, in an artistic way, in a visionary way, that's when, like, you know, even here there is an eye which kind of symbolizes the vision which becomes clear when the life force opens your eyes, you know, if you wish. And the card that you got is turn over a new page, let love lead the way for change. That's basically the card of change. Like, you know, the woman in this card, she has her eyes closed, but we know that the next moment she would open them, like, you know, she would open them and see things for what they really are. All of those cards, I think, they actually also have the same color scheme, yeah, kind of blue red, and she's blue red. They are speaking of, like, you know, some very sudden awakening and sudden change. And because it is in this very self-expressive house, I think that, again, information might come to you through various, like, you know, original channels. So pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to, like, you know, bits and pieces of conversations which you would hear on the street, or something like, you know, the universe would find its way to talk to you, like, you know, through the means which are accessible for her. She can't just send you Angel Gabriel, which would speak to you and tell everything. No, it speaks to us the way it can. And the way it would, you just need to be very, very attentive and very aligned in order to decipher those messages, if you wish. So it is about opening the third eye, ultimately. So in case, Scorpio, there were things you always wanted and never tried, like, I don't know, lucid dreaming, channeling, I don't know, all those spiritual activities which would ultimately help you to understand yourself better and help you to express yourself better. Then it is time to tune into those, like, you know, alternative ways of perceiving reality, for sure. Because the Hanged Man is about changing. Oh God, sorry, the card has fallen. It's about changing the ways of thinking. Cards started falling, so it's time for me to do Sag. Sag, for you, it's your third house, yeah? No. Fourth house. It is your fourth house of home, of siblings, of your family, of the legacy you are inheriting from your family, the house of inheritance as well. So nice. You got two court cards. You got the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Cups. Knight of Cups, it's a person of the water sign, so Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. And the Queen of Wands, she's Aries, Sag, or Leo. So in case those can mean two people in your life with whom you might want to reconsider your relationship. Knight is usually a younger person. It doesn't need to be a man or a woman. It can be anyone. Same as queen can be a man or a woman, but usually the queen would be like an older person. The knight would be a younger person, you know. So maybe like, you know, because two court cards came. Court cards usually mean people came in the house of family and legacy and siblings and so on. Maybe it is time to, like, you know, to really step up into some meaningful relationship with people from your same household, or from people from your relatives, you know. Spend more time with your family, you know. Maybe actually do something creative with your family as well, like, you know, Pisces, the new moon in Pisces is together with Venus, with Neptune, so it is poetry, art, self-expression, and so on. Maybe, like, I don't know, you can do, I don't know, a wish map with your siblings or something, like, you know, or just, I don't know, do some sort of like tarot reading night with your siblings, or something something like this, or like improvised poetry reading festival during the lockdown with your family, you know. In case those don't mean people, you don't recognize them, but they would mean energies, abstract energies. The thing is that Knight of Cups, it is like, you know, he's the Knight of the Holy Grail, end of story. He's the most spiritual knight. He is the knight which is not about moving externally, but about moving internally. You see here, he's sacrificing his bleeding heart, and there is a lotus flower growing out of it. And the Queen of Wands, the opposite. She is extremely, like, you know, she's very energetic, she's kitsch. Actually, it can be you. You're the fire sign. You can be this Queen of Wands. Definitely. So in this case, this is you. You are the super energetic woman or man, with, like, you know, original ideas and original fashion and all those things, and original way of posing yourself into the world. It is definitely a kind of advice to go more deep down inside of you, like, you know, and stop being that external, and kind of become more internal, because again, the fourth house is the house of Cancer. Cancer tends to go inside of his shell, and Knight of Cups also tends to go inside of his shell, you know, because he's Cancer. So allow yourself to be carried away, allow yourself to kind of like let go it out of control, and give yourself to more, like, you know, Piscean nature of things. Maybe it's even time to go with the flow. It is, because they came together, it is kind of time to balance. It is to balance what's very inherent to you with what is new to you, like, you know, to be quieter, to be, like, you know, a better listener, to be more, like, you know, inside than outside, to be more, probably even allow yourself to be more dreamy, to just, like, you know, daydream, and I don't know, while taking care of your house, for example, I don't know, listen to some, I don't know, podcast which would stimulate your thought, like, you know, like, you know, your spiritual development while cleaning the house. That's what I love to do when I'm cleaning my room. I'm listening to different, like, interviews and so on. So basically, Pisces is about wrapping up. It's our collective 12th house. It's also about harmonizing different aspects of you, because it is water. Water doesn't like sharp objects. Water is making everything soft and blended. So allow the more, like, you know, more fiery nature that you have to be blended with more, like, you know, temperate and patient approach. Temperate and patient approach, which Pisces would channel, like, you know, taking things slower and allowing things to unfold naturally. And your oracle card is speak out, communicate and solve the conflicts. This can be the way of interpreting those cards as well. Mostly if, again, we are in the fourth house of siblings, legacy, family, parents. So, like, you know, if those are people you would recognize from your life, it is time to speak. Because, like, you know, Pisces, what I was talking in the introduction, that the archetype of Pisces, Christ is a peacemaker. Pisces do not like conflicts. Pisces are peacemakers. They're this water which is making sharp objects soft. And for this, you need to speak out and communicate to solve conflicts. So the words as this agent, they're like this water which making things softer. And the more water there is, the softer things would become. So you need to really articulate yourself, to speak out your truth, and to let, like, you know, the kind of power of words to be this peacemaking agent, like, you know. This card is very green, as you know, in the current system of chakras that we're using. Green, it's the heart. Yeah, it's the heart. It is the heart color, the color of the heart. So, like, you know, when you speak out of your heart, it helps to solve problems for sure. So if you hold any old grudges or so, let them go. Let them go through words. Release them into this, because Pisces is a healer, and Pisces is the kind of agent of peace. Next one is Capricorn. For you, Capricorn, Pisces is your third house. It is your third house. Third house is our Gemini house. So it is the house of speaking, of advertising, of journalism, of blogging, of I took two cards for Capricorn, sorry. But I respect this. Sometimes I draw two cards for one position, so we'll read both. So you got the Knight of Cups and you got the Three of Pentacles. That's actually very, very easy. So with the more heart-centered approach, and through, like, you know, again, what is Gemini? Yeah, Gemini is two people, because it's zodiacal sign within one. Yeah, so two siblings, they're in a dialogue. Third house is not only about the worldly dialogue with the others, it's also about the dialogue with ourselves. And that's what it is, the Knight of Cups. Like, you know, you start with a very trustful conversation with yourself. Virgo got a very similar message as well. You start with rejuvenating the interaction within yourself. Knight of Cups, he's the Knight of Christ, he's Knight of the Holy Grail. The nature of this, if you wish, for me, is even can be related to baptism. So this, like, you know, purifying waters of the spirit with which you would rejuvenate yourself and ask yourself fair questions, give fair answers, and give oaths which are swear oaths which to yourself, which are valid for you here and now. Three of Pentacles, yeah, the undertaking something new. So we start with two, and two, it is you and other you, like, you know, it is your ego and higher self, as Eckhart Tolle is classifying those, or it is just, you know, a normal dialogue which we have with ourselves as rational human beings, you know, which ultimately gives way to three. Out of two, the third is born. Three of Pentacles, it's the sign of creation. It is the sign, it is the card of masons, of building a temple, you know. So it has very, like, Masonic symbolism in it. Who are the creators? Yeah, it is you, it is your spirit, and it is the divine help, like, you know, which help you to build this temple that you want to achieve. But it all starts with, like, you know, coming to a very trustworthy terms with yourself, like, you know, trustworthy relationship with yourself as the foundation for what any Capricorn would love. Three of Pentacles, building things, like, you know, having tangible results, having money. That's what we love. And got two cards. Sorry, I can't choose because I dragged them two out at the same time. The first card is slow down to relax, break to enjoy the beauty around you. Go listen to the introduction if you haven't done so. It is short this time. In a nutshell, new moon is together with new moon in Pisces, which is romantic and dreamy and poetic, is together with Neptune, which is very artistic and poetic and dreamy, and together with Venus, which is patronizing arts and beauty and all things attractive and all things pleasant, pleasurable, I don't know. So slow down to relax, break to enjoy the beauty around you. That's, I think, a very universal advice. Very universal advice. To pay more attention to beauty during this new moon in Pisces. Basically, see life as a beautiful thing which is happening to you. Find 3 seconds every day to enjoy, I don't know, a drop of rain on the window, a bird sitting on the branch, like, you know, a new leaf of the plant in your office, something tiny. Those tiny pleasures, they're like, you know, they're like anchors which anchor us in here and now, which is our ultimate goal, to basically be present in the present moment, to be here and now. And the second card is, boy, I can't believe. Oh. So this card is slow down to relax, break to enjoy the beauty around you. This card is simple pleasures. Look for beauty that is all around you. That's unreal. That's why there were two cards. At the end, it is fair because Capricorn just got the same message, just kind of repeated twice, because Capricorn is very slow. So you need to repeat twice, just in case, you know, for us to get the idea, you know. Not saying that we're slow-witted. I'm just saying that Capricorn might need, like, because Capricorn is very down to earth and functional, might need like double argument in order to trust the whole thing, like, you know. So two cards came with the same meanings, yes. And this makes sense. First of all, you need to slow down to enjoy the beauty around you. And then you need to look for beauty that is all around you and to enjoy simple pleasures. Because, yeah, it is like when you're running somewhere, going to the shop, and then it is just a moment and you kind of slow down and you look that there is, like, you know, I don't know, a rosebud or something, or a first snowflake. And for this, you need to slow down and you need to look, you need to focus, you need to be actively seeking this beauty around you. Otherwise, you would not notice it. But that's super funny, to be honest. That's why there were two cards, because it's the same message. And last but not least is Aquarius. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. I think that the stellium is still there, but I think I didn't check, to be honest, but I think that the squares with Uranus and Taurus are kind of slowly breaking. I'm not sure, to be honest. So the second house is your house of financial gains, but also of self-value, and you get very kind of a resurgence of creative energy there, yeah, with the new moon, which is together with Venus and with Neptune. So it's all very beautiful, very stylish, very poetic, and very dreamy, very artistic as such, which is nice to have in the house of self-value, you know. Yeah, so a fatalistic approach for Aquarius this time. Six of Wands, Page of Pentacles, and Way of Faith. So Page of Wands, yeah, Page of Wands is Archangel Michael in this deck. It's the, as we know, the Archangel who would be, he's the general, he's the leader military host of angels, and at the final battle he would be the one which would be battling Satan, you know. So he is, you see, there is the serpent here, the snake. He is the one who leads this constant battle of good against the evil. He is the one, in case you're going through big challenges, big shifts and big changes, which you probably are because of the massive stellium which shifted to Aquarius from Capricorn. It is time to basically purge. And Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, is about symbolic death before rebirth, about purging, about burning bridges. That's exactly what you need to do. You need to face all your fears. You need to start being reflective, basically. You need to face your fears. You need to acknowledge what were your mistakes. You need to acknowledge where you are uncomfortable and start healing those things. Basically, face your demons as if you were Archangel Michael yourself. Face your demons and start burning them with your burning sword, you know. And when this is done, it is beautiful. Page of Pentacles, new beginnings. So you are reborn like this new baby, you know. I love that he already has shoes. He's very small, but he has shoes. He's ready to walk, you know, though he's tiny, he's only new. And same your new life, and same as your new beginning. It is probably invisible yet. It is tiny. It is just like, you know, can't even speak or walk, but it is ready to go. It is already there and it is ready to go, and it's tiny shoes. So even if you don't see changes yet, they are there. It's just in order to see them, you need to get rid of the past. All those planets, Saturn is very karmic. Saturn will be with you for many years to come. And to be honest, in 2024, I think relatively soon, Pluto will move into you, and the joy would continue, the joy that Capricorn have been through for a decade, you know. So here you go. It just prepare, like start purging those wounds already now before Pluto arrives in your sign, you know. So that's important. But this gives hope, like, you know, this gives hope. And the second house, it is like, you know, it is also the journey. So the house from the ascendant Aquarius, now you do the step number 2, and your material new beginning is still small, but it is there. Even if you don't see it, it is there. You just need to open your eyes to see it. How you open your eyes? Way of faith. Let faith be your guide. So far you just believe. You just surrender and believe. And that's what you need also to learn from Pisces. Pisces is spiritual. Pisces wants to flow, go with the flow, like a fish. Pisces is fish. She doesn't walk. She's carried by waters. Yes, she swims, but she goes where the water is going. Only salmon goes up the stream, you know, but fishes normally go with the flow, which is a good lesson to learn. It is going with the flow, it is surrendering, it is having faith, having deep belief that you're on the right path, that you're aligned. But in order to know if you're aligned or not, you need to purge. You need to get rid of your fears, get rid of your like, you know, past traumas and so on. And Pisces season is a good time to do it, basically for everyone, because Pisces season is the last zodiacal sign, so it is our collective closure, because it is improvisation. But because we started by saying that new moon is together with Venus and Neptune, so it is very artistic, very poetic moon. And statistically, the card which came to, I think, 4 signs out of 12 was this card which was called Return to Joy. I don't think I would be able to find it now in the deck. Let's see if I find it quickly. Now when I need it, I won't be able to find. But maybe it is fair for me to look for it, because not everyone have seen it, because it came to 4 signs out of 3, but nonetheless not to all signs. So now I can't find it. I already went through almost all of them. I should have kept it aside, but that would not be fair. Oh, I found it. So that's the card which came statistically to the majority of people today, although I was shuffling. So that's the winner. Return to Joy. And I love this deck because actually the booklet which comes with this deck, for each card there is a poem. There is a poem of one of the Sufi mystics, you know. And for this return to joy, I want to read to you the poem of Rumi. For this joy, for this card, there is actually the poet of Rumi there. I think it would be a beautiful way to wrap up the discussion of this very romantic, poetic, artistic, and expressive moon in Pisces. So what does Rumi say? O Sufi disciples of the moment, roses are blooming, a nightingale is drunk. It is the call to ecstasy. In the wilderness of my gloom, the moment is this instant when you shower rain upon me from the cloud of mercy. Super beautiful. For those of you who don't know, in Sufi poetry, the metaphors of wine, nightingale is drunk, it is the call to ecstasy. The metaphors of wine and drunkenness, those are the metaphors of spiritual trance. Obviously, Sufis are Muslims, they're not allowed to drink wine, but what he means is that he's drunk with the divine love. It is when you open your heart to the divine and you are drunk with the beauty of the world, you're drunk with the love of God for all of us, you're drunk from this elevation and ecstasy of your spirit opening up to the universe. So I think that ode to joy is what we are right now, the moment we are in right now, like the soundtrack for this moment. And I think it's going to be a beautiful moon. Do some purging, do some closures, and welcome the spring or the autumn in the next months with open hearts. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks time when we meet for the full moon talk. And so far, bye, take care, and talk to you soon. Bye.